Hi, this is Rick for EDU Mobile Academy. Welcome to this course in beginning JavaScript. So what is JavaScript? Well, you probably already have some notion of what JavaScript is. It's been around, for about 20 some odd years. But what is JavaScript? Well, it's a scripting language. It sounds like a scripting language. It is not Java. It has nothing really to do with Java. The only reason it was named JavaScript is at the time Java was a very popular language, and the designers of JavaScript, what became JavaScript, decided to kind of hop on the Java hype. So it's a scripting language. It's used on the web. It's used in client-side context, browsers, to enrich sites, make them perform a little bit more interestingly. And it's also used in server-side context now for back-end processing. It's also used anywhere there is a JavaScript engine. So what's an engine? Well, it's a runtime. It is what runs JavaScript code. So in most cases, JavaScript is interpreted. So that JavaScript language is going to be in text, plain old text, and it's going to be interpreted, which means that there is no intermediate step. That text file is just run straight from the text, interpreted down to something that the browser can run, let's say. In some cases, JavaScript, however, is sort of compiled. It's going to be translated into a compiled language, something that can be used in other source code, and then that code will be compiled. And this is called transpiling. It is a combination of translation and then compiling of the translation. So our focus in this course is nothing so complex. Our focus is on beginning JavaScript, just like the course says. Fundamental language concepts here. There is syntax, there is data and data structures, things like variables, how data is structured into more complex types such as arrays, some things about functions, and flow control, loops, decision constructs, and so forth. Also, while we're talking about those things, by default, we're going to pick up some things about JavaScript in HTML, because that's going to be the playground that we're playing in. So we'll look at things like document object model, sometimes called the DOM, D-O-M, the role of JavaScript in an HTML page, how JavaScript is used for that enrichment of HTML. And we'll limit ourselves to browser-only interactions between JavaScript and HTML. In other words, we're going to focus on JavaScript, the language. What are you going to need? Well, this looks like a lot, but really it boils down to a computer that can run a modern browser and a text editor. That's all you're going to need for this course. So let's flesh out a little detail there. Chrome, Firefox, Safari, Internet Explorer, Opera, all of those are modern browsers. All example in this course are going to run on any one of those. So no matter what flavor of computer you have, no matter what operating system you have, you are able to run a browser that can run JavaScript. A text editor, if you want, you can use a syntax highlighting text editor for HTML and JavaScript. You can find, if you're going to be doing a lot of web design work or web development work, you might want a text editor that supports syntax highlighting for HTML, CSS3, JavaScript, and PHP and MySQL, and all of that stuff that you're going to need as you embark in writing web pages. JavaScript implementation is different in each browser. So while things will run in every browser I've listed here, they're going to look a little bit different in every browser I've listed here. But JavaScript, however, in any browser, if JavaScript is not enabled, you must enable it in that browser settings. And you can look online to see how to do that for your browser in your operating system. So once we finish this course, you can go on in your study. If you want more, the next course in this series is going to explore object-oriented JavaScript, which is a must if you're going to go on to looking at some of the very popular current frameworks that use JavaScript. Node.js, React, Angular, Ember, Meteor, the list goes on and on and on. It seems like every week someone comes up with a new flavor of a JavaScript framework. And really, you can learn on your own to write good code in any of those frameworks just by looking at the documentation online, as long as you have two things: the fundamentals of this JavaScript language, which you're going to learn in this course, and the fundamentals of object-oriented programming, which you're going to learn in the next course in this series. So stick around and learn with us. Thank you very much.